This year, experience the NHL playoffs your way. Want to watch a single? Do or die Game 7, a full week of heavy-hitting back-and-forth series. Then check out Sling's 1, 3, and 7-day passes. Watch the Chase for the Cup on ESPN and TNT, starting as low as $4.99. No long-term contracts or overpaying. Just live hockey at home or when you want it. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.
DJ and PK, we're joined now by Danny Webster. He covers the Vegas Golden Knights and the NHL for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Danny, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are we doing?
We're doing well. What is the reaction to Vegas drawing Utah in the playoffs?
Overall reaction, I would say a lot of excitement. Obviously, you got two of the league's newest teams going at it, and obviously there's been a lot of buzz going on with Utah this year. I thought that they were going to take a leap in year two in the Utah market. They absolutely did that, and it should be a fun series. I think everybody's looking forward to it. I think a lot of people also see how tough of a series this is going to be for the Golden Knights, because obviously Utah possesses a lot of speed, a lot of dynamic playmaking. But overall, the reaction here from what I've seen from fans and everything else, we're in for a barn burner here.
There's so much to draw as far as, I wonder if this will happen. I wonder if that will happen. And with the things that are going on with each team, I'll start with Vegas, since that's what our listeners are interested in. They've been following Utah all season. 8 games to go. I think it was 8. They make a coaching change.
Yeah.
And since then, when they make that change, the team has just been incredible. How much do you think that momentum is going to be able to carry over into the postseason?
Yeah, that's the biggest question. Obviously, John Tortorella has brought a kind of a mini culture shift, maybe a big vibe change to this locker room. Like you said, 8 games to go. They made probably what you would call the most shocking coaching change that we've seen in a long time, firing a guy in Bruce Cassidy who just won this team its first Stanley Cup, 3 years ago. So to make that move, to bring in John Tortorella, the overall feeling from the group going in was that the message was getting stale. Just the overall delivery of the message from Bruce Cassidy just wasn't getting there. And they felt like they needed someone to come in and kind of, I guess in a fiery John Tortorella-like way, bring that message across and bring a mindset that this team is a lot better than what they were 74 games into the season. And so far, like you said, 8 games through this coaching change, John Tortorella has instilled a confidence in this group that they can go into the playoffs and be the Stanley Cup contender that they set out to be at the beginning of the year. Now, whether it carries to the playoffs, I mean, that's the biggest question, because you went 7-0-1 to close out the regular season and everything's good and you won the division title again and, the vibes are high, but how does this team respond to adversity once their backs are against the wall? Like, if this is a 2-2 series going back to Vegas for Game 5, which I expect it will be, how do they respond? And obviously this is a group that's won a Stanley Cup. This is a group that has been battle-tested before many, many times. But I'm curious to see how Tortorella impacts this team as far as when their backs are against the wall. How do they handle that? How does he handle that, knowing that he's only been on the job for 3 weeks? So it's going to be very interesting to see as this series progresses and as the playoffs progress, if they get far, how they react to that.
Well, he screams and yells at him, right? Isn't that what he does?
That is what he does. But you know what? So far, like I said, 7-0-1, and even talking to the players in the room, that hasn't really been a thing. Like, he's kind of been in a position, John Tortorella is, where he doesn't have to come in and put his stamp on things. He hasn't had time to change the X's and O's of what they've been doing. He's pretty much just saying, okay, he told me essentially that he's coming in as like a guidance counselor, where he's just coming in, kind of putting his words in the right spot, know when to pick his spots, when to say something, when to not, and let this veteran group that's been there, done that, kind of take the reins and figure it out on their own. And so far, like, 8 games, and they've gotten points in all 8 of those so far. That's kind of worked out.
Been there, done that is a great expression for a lot of reasons. It can mean a lot of things, and they have been there and done that as far as hoisting the Stanley Cup, but they've also been there and done that and crashed out in the first round 2 years ago when they were the defending champs. And last year they did win a series before they got knocked out in 5 by the Oilers. I think it was 5 by the Oilers last year, if I remember right.
Yeah.
So Are they carrying a little piano as far as postseason history? They've been disappointed in all that, or are they still carrying, hey, we're the guys who won the Cup, we can do this again?
No, I think there's definitely that sense of unfinished business. You mentioned the series against Dallas a couple of years ago, coming in as defending champions, where they went the final 2 months without Mark Stone. He comes back in to the lineup. They go up 2-0 in that series. They're trying to integrate 2 new players in Noah Hannafin and Tomas Hertl at the time. And then they made a goalie change in the middle of the series when it was tied 2-2. And suddenly it's like, okay, well, you're trying to search for answers. But the biggest problem at the end of the day was that they only scored 1 goal in Game 7. And that was the biggest problem for them in that series. And then you look at last year against Edmonton, they fall behind 2-0 in the series. They win that miraculous Game 3 at the buzzer, but then they go Games 4 and 5 without scoring a goal, and their season ends by getting shut out twice in back-to-back games against Stuart Skinner. Now, I know that obviously does not sound good on paper, and it probably never will in the grand scheme of things, but I think ultimately that's one of the reasons why this coaching change needed to happen. And it's not because of Bruce Cassidy's ability to coach. He is definitely going to land a job at some point in the near future. But the way that they were playing and the way that they were trying to attack the net, especially before he got fired, it looked a lot similar to how the playoffs ended the last 2 years. And if you're going into the playoffs again, and you're only scoring, 2-3 goals a game with the level of talent on this team, you're not going to get very far. And what you've seen under Tortorella through these 8 games is an attack mindset, a playing north mindset, and that's why they've been able to average about 4.2 goals per game since then. So I think, in a sense, this coaching change also heightened this sense of how can we get pucks on net, and how can we do it in a way that's going to reflect in the playoffs? And I think you're starting to see over these last 8 games, they're starting to score those playoff-type goals that they were not scoring the last 2 years. So that's going to be another interesting thing I'm going to look for as this series goes on, is are they able to score the goals that they could not score last year, and will that be enough to help them go on a deep run where they hope to get to the Western Conference Final at least?
I saw your prediction was Vegas in 6. I'm wondering, I'll put a theory by you, see what you think about it as far as that prediction, some of your reasonings, that if you take a look at Utah's best players versus the Knights' best players, that there's far more experience from the best players on the Vegas side versus Utah. And we'll see how Utah develops over the next 2 to 3 years, and maybe it'd be reversed. But as far as right now, the best players advantage seems to be with Vegas. Is that one of the reasons why you're looking at Vegas to advance?
Yeah, I think so. I think ultimately it just comes down to experience. I think, and you can look at really through the Western Conference, even with Edmonton and Anaheim. I think Anaheim especially took a huge leap this year. I don't think anybody expected them to finish third in the Pacific, but even if against a banged up Oilers team, that's still a tough task for a young Anaheim team to come in and face against Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Evan Bouchard. Like that's a tall task for them. And I kind of see similar things with Utah. Like I said, before the season, I thought that they were going to take that next step and become a playoff team, and they've done that. I think the way that Dylan Guenther has played this year, the way that Clayton Keller has continued to evolve as one of the best playmakers in the league, has definitely been a great thing for just the overall franchise, not even Utah, even dating back to Arizona. Like the fact that he's continued to become this, stellar playmaker has really heightened just how good this team is. But ultimately, I think what it comes down to is just the experience and knowing that, maybe it's not Utah's time yet. And you know what? If they get past Vegas, I have no doubt that they could probably get to the conference final. But I just think when it comes down to it, I think it's going to be a 2-2 series coming back to Vegas for Game 5. And in those kind of games, you rely on the guys that have been there, done that in big game experience. And right now, I just feel Vegas would be in that position to win that kind of a game. And then going into a Game 6, with a chance to close it out, the guys in that locker room know what it takes to get the job done, even in what I'm expecting to be a great environment at Delta Center. So I think Utah is going to definitely put up a fight. I think it's going to be a very fun series, a lot of back and forth, a lot of open ice. But I think ultimately, at the end of the day, I see Vegas just kind of getting that last push over the finish line. And I think they're going to make it they're going to make Karel Vizmelka play out of his mind, I think. And, 62, 63 starts this year is no slight on a goaltender. And I do think that will catch up to him going into his first playoff series.
Danny Webster joining us, Vegas Golden Knights and NHL writer for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Do you believe defense wins championships, and do you believe that Colorado, far and away the stingiest team, when it comes to goals allowed, these guys just don't let the puck in the net? 203 goals, 23 better than second-best Dallas. Is everybody in the playoffs just playing until they run into Colorado, or do you think even with their plus 99 goal differential, which is almost double anybody else, that somebody could actually take them down in a 7-game series?
I do think defense ultimately wins championships. I mean, you look at the Golden Knights in 2023, that team was predicated on their 6 defensemen and the way that they were able to, play both ends of the ice, and they were able to keep teams to the outside. That was one of the reasons why they steamrolled their way through Florida in 2023. And even if you look at Florida the last couple of years, they invested in their defense, and they had the skill up front, but they were also able to keep teams to the outside and play to their strengths and use their size as far as, closing off the neutral zone and things like that. As far as Colorado, I definitely see that, this might be the first time in a long time you look at a President's Trophy winner and say, yeah, that they're probably going to be, the toughest out in the entire field. But that's also part of it. I think when you look at the President's Trophy in the past, it hasn't happened since 2013 where a team has won that and the Stanley Cup. And I think ultimately when you look at the Central Division side of things, Dallas and Minnesota are going to beat each other up for a 7-game series, which is going to be awesome. And Colorado, all things considered, should have an easy path to get past LA and meet up with one of those two in the second round. But I think with Dallas or Minnesota, whoever gets past the first round and meets up with Colorado, that's going to be the toughest draw for them. And if it is Dallas, then obviously they're going to be wanting to play for Mikko Rantanen. They're going to want to get revenge again for their star winger. And I feel like if they get healthy at the right time with, Heiskanen and Hintz out for a little bit, Dallas, I think, would give them a run for their money. But again, Colorado's another team that's battle tested. They've won before with the majority of this core, so they know how to get it done there. So it's going to be very interesting to see, but I will never rule out the possibility of a team coming in and upsetting the President's Trophy winners just because it has happened far too often, for the last 13 years.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate a few minutes. Thanks for coming on and talking a little Stanley Cup playoff hockey with us, because everybody here is ready to get a taste of it, Danny. Thanks for joining us for a few minutes.
Not a problem. Appreciate you guys having me. Danny
Webster, Vegas Golden Knights and NHL writer for the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
This year, experience the NHL playoffs your way. Want to watch a single, do or die Game 7, a full week of heavy-hitting back-and-forth series? Then check out Sling's 1-, 3-, and 7-day passes. Watch the chase for the cup on ESPN and TNT, starting as low as $4.99. No long-term contracts or overpaying. Just live hockey at home or when you want it. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.